Hey guys, this is Bharadwaj with PhoneArena.com and this is the video review of the Google Nexus 5. Initially released as a developer-focused device, the Nexus has now morphed into an affordable device which provides the best of Google and instant updates. This is even more pronounced in the Nexus 5 experience. It's pure Google all the way, right from the hardware design to software. So is the Nexus 5 the best Google device ever? In case you already have a Nexus 4, should you upgrade? Let's find out. The design of the Nexus 5 is quite different from its predecessor, but much like the Nexus 4, it is nothing exciting at first look. Much of its differences lie in the color variants though, with the white as well as the black one exhibiting different characteristics with respect to design as well as build quality. The two-tone setup works for the back, but the white earpiece on the front makes the black one look stealthier. But talking of build, the Nexus 5 is predominantly plastic. The back too attracts grease and dirt over the long term and makes it shinier, but sort of works in improving the grip at the same time. The Nexus 5 might not look inspiring, nor it might be built very well, but it makes up for it in comfort. It is easily one of the most comfortable devices we have ever used. Weighing in at just 130 grams, the device is deceptively light, even though the numbers don't say so. The curves on the top and bottom work well with the curved corners to make it a great fit in the hands. The device is also just 8.59mm thick, contributing to a better experience overall. Let's walk you through the hardware now. The Nexus 5 has a full sheet of Gorilla Glass 3 on the front with the 4.95-inch display underneath. Above the display we have the white circular grilled earpiece, the 1.3-megapixel front-facing camera and the usual couple of sensors. The on-screen controls make up for the lack of physical buttons, but you do have a notification LED below the display just like the Nexus 4. The right side of the phone houses the power lock switch made of the sturdy ceramic material. Right below it lies the micro SIM tray which can be ejected using the SIM tool. Over at the top we have the 3.5mm audio jack and the secondary microphone, and at the bottom we have the loudspeaker, the micro USB slot with slim port functionality and possibly a microphone hidden under the other fake loudspeaker grill. The left side houses the single piece volume rocker which is made of the same ceramic material. It is quite sharp around its edges. Turning to the back, we have the 13-megapixel camera sitting inside a black circle and the Nexus and the LG logos. Moving on to the finer details of the hardware, let's talk about the display. The Nexus 5 comes with a 4.95-inch Full HD IPS LCD screen with a pixel density of 445 pixels per inch, and it looks really good. The wallpapers pop and the blacks look deep, indicating some really good contrast on the screen. The colors are a bit washed out when compared to other Full HD screens, and like any LCD panel, the viewing angles are hit and miss with evidences of poor quality control in terms of light bleeding, but it does perform pretty well standalone. In our test, we found that the Nexus 5 is not a match for all the other Full HD smartphones in the high end, but again pretty good standalone. Coming to the camera, we can outright claim that it is much better than the Nexus 4. Equipped with the 8-megapixel sensor with optical image stabilization, it finally breaks the jinx of a horrible camera on all the Nexus phones thanks to the inbuilt HDR Plus mode, which is curiously not actually a high dynamic range mode, rather it's a different and better approach to a scene. It definitely takes better photos than the normal mode as noted by our many camera samples. We shot several photos and found the HDR Plus mode to be superior in every way. The daylight samples turned out great, with a slight warm tone and saturated colors, but we did face issues focusing in macro as the f2.4 aperture lens also failed to create reasonable amounts of bokeh. Low light too was decent, except for the lack of proper focus. But let's get this out of the way. It's nowhere as good as the other high-end phones, that's really easy to see. Only sticking point for us, that would be the slow actuations of shutter. Yeah, the shutter speed, the actual interface speed, is just too slow by today's standards, which reminds us of the lag in the Lumia 1020. Coming to the video performance, the phone records 1080p Full HD videos at 30fps with omnidirectional stereo audio and optical image stabilization for shake-free footage. It's good enough in our opinion, and we notice the same warmer tone to videos as well, which is not pretty bad. The UI is a bit basic and lacks a lot of options that you see on other high-end phones, and the core performance could be a lot better. But otherwise, this is a solid camera. Just remember to lower your expectations. Coming to performance, the Nexus 5 runs on one of the fastest chips on the market, Qualcomm Snapdragon 800 with a 2.26 GHz quad-core Krait CPU and the Adreno 330 GPU clocked at 450 MHz. In short, the device is blazing fast. It might have shown low numbers in our benchmark tests, but in the general day-to-day usage, it is easily one of the fastest on any Android device we have used. The UI is buttery smooth, apps open quickly, and scrolling is almost never an issue. Part of it is due to the latest software too, but even then, the performance is pretty great. To push the phone to extremes, we played a bunch of high-end games on this and found all of them to run great. Performance in total was nothing short of fast and fluid. Our 16GB variant came with 12.55GB free memory out of the box, and as usual, the tradition of a non-existent microSD slot on a Nexus device continues, with the Nexus 1 being the only exception. Regarding connectivity, the Nexus 5 works with all the Indian operators with the expected speeds on 3G. It also has USB OTG support, which we had used to connect a PS3 controller for gaming. Now, yeah, all the usual inputs are here. But in terms of output, the loudspeaker especially is abysmal. It's too muffled to be a good enough loudspeaker for calls, let alone music. Now coming to software, you know this is a Nexus device. With every new Nexus device, a new version of Android is traditionally announced and preloaded. This time it's Android 4.4 KitKat, which brings upon a number of changes in the UI as well as under the hood, making it one of the major upgrades since 4.0 ICS. KitKat brings a lot of new UI elements and cleanups, a better implementation of core design, and overall a step in the right direction. Our personal favorites in terms of new additions to the OS are the new Dialer app that can connect you with local listings and act as Truecaller at the same time. The whitish user interface changes to default apps as well as the whole interface, like the status bar icons, the scrolling end indicator, and more. The new fresh icons for some apps like settings, camera, and the dialer, and finally built-in emoji keyboard. Honestly, all of the design changes are welcome, most notably the new launcher with inbuilt Google Now and the condensed Roboto font. The tooltips are now more rounded and more modern, with a new white-based Holo Light interface being used for all the default apps. It just makes the whole OS feel a lot more fresh and less Tron-like as it was before. But yeah, the remnants of the old OS still exist. The Tron Holo Blue UI pops up in some places, but that is inevitable, as this itself feels like a much larger change. There is a lot more to KitKat, so for the complete lowdown on Android 4.4 and all its new features, you can watch our in-depth walkthrough. Coming to the battery life, the 2000 mAh battery on the Nexus 5 is definitely not as good as the LG G2, or rather any other Full HD smartphone with a high capacity battery, but thank goodness it is much better than the Nexus 4. While using the Nexus 4, I remember losing out about 20% of the battery life on idle overnight, only to wake up and be frustrated that I should charge the phone again. Thankfully, that is not the case with the Nexus 5, as it idles beautifully with only losing around at most 2 to 4% overnight. This is a huge step forward from the Nexus 4 and we appreciate that, but that's all it does. Otherwise, the battery life seems pretty average, so overall a step up from the Nexus 4 but nowhere close to other devices in the same price range, in case you are expecting similar stellar performance. In case you're wondering, on an average it got a day of use from us and should hopefully last the same for you too. So, answering our initial questions, should you upgrade? In short, yes. It improves upon its predecessor in every way by having a better display, better build quality, faster processors, and a better camera. And at the same time, when compared to other devices, this being a Nexus device, it has all the Google goodies that are non-existent on other platforms, at least not just yet. So does that make Nexus 5 the best Google device ever made? Almost. It comes so close, save for the white variant's build quality. There are also the usual disadvantages like an average battery life, lack of microSD expansion, and the lack of a removable battery. But at $28,999 for the 16GB version, the Google Nexus 5 is easily the best buy if you want the best device for instant Android updates and the purest Google experience. To summarize, here is a list of pros and cons of this device. And that's about it for our video review. For an even deeper look, do read our blog for the complete review in text and images. The links are in the description below. We hope you enjoyed our review. Do hit the like button if you did, and do subscribe to our channel for more videos like these. Thanks for watching, share this with your friends, and let us know what you think in the comment section below. Cheers!